Well, joining us now is Ukrainian MP Kira Rudik. Kira, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's a pleasure. What's your reaction to these two Brits fighting in Putin's war?
Well, it's an exception, because this allows me to use this opportunity to say that we know and we feel that British people have been one of our strongest allies, and Britain has been so good, not only in words, but actually in actions to support Ukraine. Recently, there has been signed a defense agreement between Ukraine and the United Kingdom, and it really helped us to move certain things along in terms of the air defense delivery, in terms of other military deliveries. So we know that in their majority, British people have been fantastic to us, and we are so grateful for that.
And what more could we do? What are your requests from the UK at the moment, the UK government?
Well, there is a general request that our allies need to switch from the perception of helping Ukraine fight to letting us win the war. And for that, we need to remove all the limitations that are right now there for delivering the air defense systems, delivering the weapons, the fighter jets, because we need all of that, because we know we can win the war. We just need the weapons, the means, so we will not face our enemy empty-handed.
We've spoken many times, Kieran. It's such a privilege to have you on the show today. I go on about this the whole time, and I try and make it as quick as possible, but I want your response. I understand, by the way, as you will, that in this country right now, it's a cost of living crisis. People are really struggling, and a lot of people will say, well, hold on a second, war fatigue. You know what I'm going to say to you. We kind of this... I cannot overestimate the importance of the support for Ukraine, and I have been criticised massively for this. And I came up with this when I spoke to somebody some weeks ago. The war in Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, is actually our war as well. Because if Vladimir Putin, who is a dictator, wins in Ukraine, I promise you, on my life, he will put one foot outside Ukraine, because the USSR, and NATO is legally bound to go to war with him. So when everybody says to you, I get it, we have to keep supporting Ukraine because it's not just Ukraine's war, it's our war, right, Kira? That's true, but it's true.
Jeremy, thank you so much
for
saying that.
I believe it, genuinely.
True. That's absolutely true. And about the cost of the living crisis, I totally understand that people in the countries that support us are also struggling with sending money to Ukraine. But there is a solution to that. And the solution is to use Russian money that's being frozen here in Britain, in the European countries.
That's a really good point.
And let's make Putin pay for what he broke. And as of right now, officially, there is about 50 billion pounds frozen of Russian money in the United Kingdom. And we can take those money and use them to support Ukraine in fighting and winning and covering for the damages.
Why doesn't that happen?
Well, we are working with the politicians here, and we just need them to take the courage and go ahead with that. And this is what I have been calling since the day one. Let's go ahead and take a stand and use Russian assets.
Use the oligarchs' money.
Yes, absolutely. That's the right thing to do.
And what do you make of Donald Trump's comments about Ukraine and the fact that if he were to become US president again, he would cease any funding to Ukraine and the war effort?
Well, it's a dangerous statement for us, and we obviously need to take it seriously. However, we know that during the campaign, sometimes politicians are offering their people the simple solutions to the complicated problems. Right. So when one is the president of the United States, I think the stance may be different, and we hope it will be different.
Do you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not sticking up for Donald Trump. We see it in our own politicians. We were talking about just now. When they're trying to play to a certain segment, when they're trying to curry favour, they will say anything. Can I ask you, because we read so much and you can only go on what you hear, what is the current situation? I've read in the last few weeks Russia is gaining the upper hand, Ukraine is creaking. You say we can win the war. What is happening in your country? Put it in real terms, Kira.
We have a shortage of weapons and supplies, and this is the truth. So right now, what we need is for all the politicians, whoever made a statement to support us, to deliver on this promise. Everywhere in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in European Union, everywhere. We are trying to go and say, well, let's go ahead and deliver weapons because our people are ready to fight. It's incredibly hard because we are being attacked every single night by Russian missiles, by Russian drones, and these attacks are intensifying. The sanctions are not working as we suppose they would work because Russia can still produce the weapons and missiles, and their military production is increasing. But the feeling inside Ukraine is that we just need to get together, stick together, and fight together, and we will win the war.
The spirit of your people is extraordinary.
We, the politicians, just need to get our people what they need.
Put up and shut up, we say in England, right?
Yeah. This is what I need to do. This is what all of us need to do, to get the weapons into hands of Ukrainian soldiers so they can do their job.
And Kira, you might have noticed we're wearing these badges today. I stand with Evan. It's one of our colleagues, Evan Gershkovich, who's been detained now without trial in Russia for over a year. Do you have a message for Evan at this time, and what are your hopes for his case?
We know that Russia is an absolute evil and that they are acting as terrorists. But we hope that there would be a possibility to free him and all the political prisoners and journalists that Russia has detained illegally, just in order to exchange them or in order to torture them. We understand that fighting and winning over Russia will allow us as a democratic world to do that. And we just hope that he will be okay.
Can I ask you one final question, Kieran? And I mean this. I mean, I know it's close to my heart. I always find it really inspiring to speak to you because we can read, can't we, and hear. But to speak to somebody who's out there and knows what's going on and puts it so clearly as you do. A couple of reports of, not unrest, but what is the Ukrainian people's feeling of Zelensky? Still a million% behind him, or are there doubters?
Well, you know, during the war, it's very hard to read into in any numbers, and they change rapidly. What we know is there could not be elections at the time of the war, and we have one president, and we need to stand behind him as politicians and as nation. And it's our physical survival depends on him being successful at his job of delivering the weapons and of running the army, and that's what we should do.
And just bringing it now to those horrific terrorist attacks that we saw take place against innocent people in Russia over the weekend. Do you believe that Putin is putting his people in danger by ignoring the very real threat of ISIS? We know that American security services had actually forewarned Putin in the weeks leading up to that terrorist attack.
Absolutely. And, you know, this is actually the way how Putin came to power. When there were some terrorist attacks in Russia, he dealt with them and he put his upper hand, stronger hand onto Russian people and created his authoritarian regime. So right now, he's just playing by his own book. And it's absolutely unfortunate that we will never know the truth what happened there. Because no matter what Russia says and the officials say, there are no international spectators or journalists allowed because all the international journalists are being jailed,
Why
right?
would you believe a word?
Yeah.
Why would you believe a word?
Precisely.
Can I just say on a personal level, I will always speak out for Ukraine. It's an absolute pleasure that you came on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so
so much, and glory to Ukraine.
Thank you.